Welcome back, folks. Episode 135 of the Behind the Badge podcast.
Yep.
I just want to make sure you're still here, Deputy Tisdale.
I was. I can barely hear myself.
No, I'm more talking about the football game.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah. You know what?
Yeah?
It was expected. Pittsburgh played well for half the season
Right.
and the other half. So I prepared myself. Thank God they
Okay.
did that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But,
So now you can enjoy the Bills games, right? You can actually sit and watch and enjoy the games. You don't have to worry about it.
that's the great thing. And a lot of good games coming out there. The Bills look great.
Oh, yeah.
And, I don't know if you caught the game last night. I believe it was the Rams. Rams won over the Vikings. And
Yeah, no one's
first
seen
time.
that. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. First time I ever seen a guy possibly lose millions of dollars within 1 to 2 games. The quarterback for the Darnold.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bad play over the last couple games. Probably cost himself a huge contract. So
Right. That's amazing, isn't it? That's the ebb and flow of the NFL because that parity thing is really there.
Exactly.
They've done a great job bringing parity to that sport. You look at Major League Baseball, you don't see it a lot, right? You got the dominant teams, you get players that can get sucked into those dominant teams eventually just, with good contracts. But
yeah, those contracts. Oh my God.
yeah, contracts. are good. Well, on behalf of Steeler Nation.
I think you say the
I didn't think you'd show up. I really thought you'd bail. I really thought there'd be taps playing in the background or something this morning. I don't know, but thanks, man. So this week we're here with Chief Dale Erne of the Court Bureau of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Behind the Badge, Chief, we're trying to share all the bureaus and the cops and the people that do the work with us, what they do behind the badge, who they are. And today I think it's a great chance to introduce you and enlighten the world on the Court Bureau because it's kind of this weird entity that a lot of police departments don't have. But first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Tiz.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought you had work over in the courts tonight.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He works for you, does he?
Pretty sure we'll be after this.
I wanted to give that up right away.
Well, it's funny you came here because usually he says he works for himself, and now that the boss is sitting across from him, interviewing him.
I see
Right,
that.
this just turned into a Tiz roast.
Oh, boy.
We'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
He does a great job,
Yeah, he does, absolutely.
especially when he's not over there.
Right.
When he's not over there, he does the best work when he's not at work.
Oh, boy, I tell you.
All right, that concludes this episode. All right. Thanks for coming. Chief, who are you? What do you do for a living?
Obviously, I'm the chief of the Court Bureau. Thank you, sir, for bringing me back.
Love having you here.
So I oversee the Court Bureau security, which we have upwards of 100 staff, to include command officers, that obviously oversees the security of the Hall of Justice, judges, civilians, and the appellate division. It's quite involved.
It's a big footprint.
Yes.
A lot of moving parts. That's why we want to do these episodes, is just show people, like, all right, the Court Bureau, that kind of makes sense. You just nailed 3 or 4 different things right there. So we'll dive into that, but I can't let you get off the mark on who you are. So just a little bit about you, your family, your grandson.
Okay.
The fact that you came through the jail, retired, and you found an urge to come back and work for us, and we didn't recruit you, right? We had no part to play in here.
You actually caught me outside knocking on the door.
Just for your
Can I
wife's
come in?
benefit, that she still likes me, that you're back to work.
Yeah, so
Enjoying retirement. Got a great idea.
I worked over 25 years in the jail. I started in 1994, worked my way up through the ranks, worked all areas. Retired in 2019 as a captain. Mm-hmm. Loved the job, loved the people. I also worked prisoner transport back in the 90s, which I got to know a lot of the court deputies back then. And there are still quite a few of them that are there.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, so I built rapport with them over the years, and so I understood the inner workings of the Court Bureau somewhat. But then when I've been married 38 and a half years to my wife Lisa, which I wouldn't change a thing.
She's awesome.
I had 3 boys. My oldest is 35, 34, going to be 35, excuse me. My middle son is 31, and my youngest is 25. I have an 8-year-old grandson that we spend a lot of time with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for what I have. I've great family, great kids. We spend a lot of time with them. My middle son's living with us right now with his son, which is grandson, and he's finishing up his biochem degree at RIT.
That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
So he's excited about that. We are too, because he's worked really hard on it. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Biochem.
mm-hmm.
Thank God for your wife.
Didn't come from me, I can tell you that. Did not come from me.
I have a son that has a degree in physics.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
remember we were talking.
And he wanted to be a cop. I'm like, son, I know every cop in Monroe County. I know I'm talking about myself. None of us have a degree in physics. So try that first. You can always become a cop later. Right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly,
biochem. Like, I have no idea what that even means. It's
Right.
just amazing.
Neither do
how
I.
bright these kids are.
He'll explain things to me. I go, can we move on to sports or something?
Because a lot of things I always say to guys that went through the jail and the years that you already have done in the jail, and to continue on, to want to add your service and come over to serve us over in the courts. I mean, was the decision hard for you? You know what I mean? Because you could have been out there sipping on Mai Tais and do, you know what I mean? Just taking it easy.
Maybe he still does.
Right.
Oh, I did kind of do that for 3 years, but the funny story is my wife and I were going, it was on a Sunday in October, we're going to a wedding, and I received a call from the undersheriff. And we had already always joked back and forth, and like I did with you, if you have a project, give me a call. So he said he had a project for me. And to be honest with you, when he told me what it was, I said, you stop messing with me. I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready for a wedding. I'll talk to you later. And I hung up. And then he texted me. He goes, no, please call me back. And it was the offer for the court chief. And so I said, well, let me come down and talk to you and the sheriff, because my wife ordered me to. I mean, said she thinks it might be a good idea. Go check it out.
Explore it.
Right.
So we went. I came down and that Tuesday and talked to the sheriff and the undersheriff, and I was actually became pretty excited about the idea of coming back and helping. It really was not a hard decision.
Yeah, and again, your skill set, we lost that for a few years, and we knew what we lost, and we're looking for that special person to come back, that lead. First thing is lead the troops, take care of the troops, and you got that ingrained in your DNA to come back and lead people. We can always manage things and learn how to manage better, which we're going to talk about today, because the court bureau is a whole different management world. You work for 3 different bosses sometimes, but we really appreciate the sacrifice your family's making for us. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back, to be honest with you.
And you got great people. I mean, the court bureau is just loaded with just incredible. I know you're here, so but the Tizes of the world are out there, right? I mean, they're fun people to lead, and they got great sense of humor, but they get the job done. They do it to standard. There's no whining and crying, and everybody bitches about their boss once in a while, or bitches about the organization. That's called work, So that's but to lead these guys what an honor, right? It's an honorable thing.
It's my honor.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Not only getting to know them, and Tiz is fantastic. He's a shining star. Everyone who works in the bureau, they work so hard.
Yep.
But to come back and work with everyone again, even from the other bureaus, police bureau, jail bureau, civil, everyone I knew, to see again, staff services, and to be involved in it again. Yeah. It's really been.
Be back in the game, right? It's just be in that blue
and
uniform.
Try to make a difference.
Right.
Try to make a difference. But like I said, the court deputies are great. They're fantastic. They do a great job every day. And they're out in the public. They have to
spotlight all day long.
It can be tension filled with the trials and everything else that are going on, but to maintain the presence without being overbearing,
right?
That's a tough thing to do.
Sure.
Because you're trying to maintain calm when it's not going to be calm.
Right.
Which means you have in protecting the judges and the DAs and the attorneys, civilians. I mean, it's not easy. You can see the tension there, but they hide it very well.
Yeah, so let's talk about the mission. So I mentioned earlier, well, even above the mission, the organizational part of this. So I mentioned you work for 3 bosses. The chief of the court bureau, you work for me, obviously. We hired you, you're sworn in, you're a deputy sheriff, right, your ultimate authority. But you also work for OCA.
Yes.
You also work for the judges, in particular Judge Taylor. Yes. But there's other judges. They all have their own. So you've got 3 bosses screaming at you at any given time, or have needs or desires or things like that. And Tiz, you pop in here too, because you've been working there way more longer than us in this organization. But that's a unique work environment where you're working for all these bosses and trying to accomplish their missions, but also trying to accomplish their needs, which could be very dynamic.
Oh yeah, like he said, it's a rough thing, but a lot of people don't see that behind the scenes. That you're getting tugged from all these different levels, and you're still trying to take all that information and govern your guys. You know what I mean? And it's a rough thing. Like we said, going from where you were, now you got this big division of people, and looking to you for answers, and you're getting like you said, you're getting hit from different avenues. I mean, how do you adjust to that?
I think if I hadn't had the experience coming up through command in the areas I worked previously, staff services. I was involved with the community, a lot of outside agencies. I learned a lot of things while working there, and who I happened to work for, Chief Fowler. Mm-hmm. He was commander at the time. And I think that helped me at least understand how to build communication first when I came back and get the judges to know me. I knew a lot previously, but to sit down and talk to them and see what their needs were and how we could work together and build some bridges, which I think, I'm not saying we're neglected, but I'm a different chief. I'm coming in. I have a different way of doing things, a different style. And it was nice to just sit down and get an idea what their expectations were.
Right.
And to get to know staff.
Right.
And what their expectations were and what they expected. So the way I look at it is, I work for you. We work together. Mm-hmm. And we can't get this job done unless we do work together. So if I can't give you the proper guidance and tools and mentorship to do your job, then I failed. So that's how I look at it. And I think it's worked fairly good over the 2 years I've been back. So.
Now, the mission of the Court Bureau is multitask, right? There's many different bosses, so there's many different parts of the mission. But really, the ultimate, I always describe it, and is you want tranquility at the last part of the criminal justice system, right? The rest of the criminal justice system is chaotic, right? It's the point of crime to the point of arrest, to working with victims, to working with suspects, to housing them, possibly in the jail before they're convicted, transporting them, everything, selecting a jury, all these things. But when you get to the courthouse, it's supposed to be as tranquil, right? This is where the thought is supposed to go. We're working with people's liberty, right? We're talking about taking people out of society, potentially with a conviction, and we all love our Constitution. So to be able to switch that and say, you know what, a court is always going to be as safe and secure as possible. It's going to be as tranquil environment as possible. A judge is going to be able to make their decision based on what they think is right, not based on threats or based on intimidation or based on, and so you play a huge part in that criminal justice system. And it's probably, I always say, like the most important part, because that's where the time comes in, the thought, the Constitution comes in. I mean, it's in all the other parts, but we want the judges and the juries to say, I'm doing this final part based on thought, not based on intimidation, not based on afraid of a jury, other jurors intimidate me. I mean, people don't have, I have no idea how much goes on inside that courthouse. They just see pictures on TV, and there's a lot of work.
Yes, when I came in, I think I'd already had an idea when I was in transport. Of course, that was back in the 90s. But when I came in, when you really stand back and watch what we do in there, or deputies do,
right? Yeah.
Any given time, like you said, Sheriff, they're being pulled by the judge, the prisoner transport, jurors. Everyone's looking at them to
fill a need,
calm things down, which they do very well. And exactly like you said, one of the points that you made is that, it's tranquil. Well, one of our main jobs is to make sure that the victims' families, when they come in for trials or any other hearings or anything else, to be part of whatever the process is going on with the defendant, is to make sure they're calm, they feel protected, and that we listen to them. And to watch court deputies just go out of their way to just listen and just give that sense of security is really amazing.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's the thing of us just trying to, restore peace, especially after something happens. And, you can see it anywhere. You get families are distraught, and sometimes sometimes you look at it and it could be understandable, but the thing is that we still have to, hold things in place, to where everyone feels safe. You know what I mean? Especially after things happen, and we've been parts of things that's
they're explosive.
Right, they're very explosive, especially in today's society. So, and you taking control and being the main guy for us in the courts over there is a blessing. And like I said, before you even came over, you try to get an inkling of trying to find out how the next guy is going to be that's coming in, or how's this guy coming in. And honestly, from my end, and not just blowing smoke, I've never heard anything negative about you. The majority of the guys said, he's a good guy, and more or less he's one of those guys that you wouldn't mind having over you. So I thought that was kudos to you. And the interactions I've had with you, they've always been positive. And that's one thing, when somebody feels like they can come to you and talk to you, that's a difference. And that's another aspect of what I give you credit on of leading, leadership.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Approachable.
I try to make sure that there's no barriers.
Right.
And as I said before, it just doesn't take much to listen. All right, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
It's the one skill. Let's get in our leadership class. So it's the one skill we're never formally trained on, right? You're formally trained how to read. You're formally trained how to talk. You're formally trained how to write. We have no formal training in listening, right? So it's a skill that good leaders either learn, somewhere else by demonstration, or a father or mother, or a teacher that taught you that skill. But if not, if you want to be a good leader, that's probably one of the things you can really work on, because I suck at it. I know that because I like to talk. It's hard to talk and listen at the same time, right?
You listened to me when I stated my name again. But
yeah.
no, just
we got the video.
Kidding
Don't
aside, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone wants to see that.
Yeah.
I did learn a lot from my father.
Yeah.
My father was a drill sergeant and with the 82nd Airborne, second aid. And I remember my first promotion, but even before that, I always asked him, how he did things. But he said, if you ever take rank, if you take it for yourself, give it back.
Yeah.
He goes, because that's not how you lead. And he taught me a lot.
Yeah, and you'll also be miserable, right? Because the job leadership is there's no gimmies in leadership. I mean, you look for the gimmies. There's no, there's no mulligans. Because you're on the spot all day long. So let's go back to we could do a class on leadership someday, or a presentation. So, we talk about. I'm trying to describe. Everybody sees it on TV. They see, will the jury please rise? Did you come to a verdict, right? And the tension, the music in the background. That's real.
Yeah.
In your courthouse several times a week on murder trials, that families, both sides of the aisle, have been there for weeks listening to testimony, right? Staring at each other. Maybe, sometimes even develop a relationship together, the families of suspects and defendants, but also often contentious, right? And so that moment, you guys are there, right? It's incredible. That goes on several times a week in your courthouse. And that's what you're dealing with. But also the judges, going back to their chambers, and judges are getting threats at their houses, and the jury can never be intimidated, right? The jury can never be screwed with. We just don't allow that by law. But who does that is you guys. And I think it's an amazing mission. And we just wanted to share more with the public what you guys do for a living. I think it's an open environment too. Anybody can come in those courthouses, right? The cameras. Sometimes the camera's allowed in, the camera's not allowed in, but they can be out in the hallway all day long when families are walking out, and you guys are. The hot light is on that courthouse all day long, and the fact that no one sees stuff go wrong is just a testimony to you guys and gals that are doing the job. And so we want to give kudos where kudos deserves. It's every day in the spotlight with contentious environments, and people don't talk about our court bureau. It must be doing something right.
That's
right?
a great point.
Yeah.
And absolutely, the first day of a trial, the deputies in there start gauging who's coming in, who might be an issue, making sure we maintain eyes on, but not, we're not going to try to stand out on that. It's just veteranship and understanding, the dynamics of how the courtroom works, and that's, you need to have that.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and I see here in your hobbies, it says golf. And we were trying to figure out.
Not very good.
That's what we were trying to figure out.
I'll write that down.
That's what I heard. I heard from some guys. I was going to ask you, what's your handicap? In golf. But then somebody was saying, I heard from other people that golf with you, like Chuck E. Cheese level. We're trying to figure out what it is.
It could go that way. Every week is different. I golf in a league with some guys I know from hockey over the years, and great guys. But it's I could have a great day one week, and the next week I forget actually how I got there. So it is very frustrating, but I do enjoy it. So
that's the reason I don't play golf. I don't like golf. I love the game. I appreciate it, but it's one of the most humbling games you could play. It'll humble you at a moment. It'll humble you halfway through the same. It's like, wow, I hate sucking at something, and I suck at that, so I just choose not to play it. Yeah,
you have to be able to laugh at yourself. That's
I found pickleball the other day, so I thought I'd dominate on pickleball, and I whiffed at a couple balls. I'm like, this is just like golf, man. I don't need
it. Is though.
It's just like, how do you miss a simple thing like that? Like a putt. Some days you nail the putts, and some days it could be right on top of it. It could be Chuck E. Cheese.
I'll tell you, man, it's incredible, man. Like you said, I've been out golfing.
The ball doesn't move unless you hit it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it is tough.
Yeah. Oh, no.
How did I miss that again?
Yeah.
Could someone throw it at me? I could probably hit it better.
Did you ever see Robin Williams? He did a whole thing on the evolution of golf, the history of golf, and the development of golf. If not, go home. Oh, it's filthy, by the way, but he's swearing all over the place. But it's such a great description of the game. Like a couple of drunks just coming out in the backyard, figuring out how to. And they developed this thing called golf, right? Like, we're gonna hit the ball. No, with a little stick, we're gonna hit the ball, and then he doesn't hold the, accent, and no, we're gonna put sand in the middle of the way. It's great. Go watch it.
Oh my God.
Go watch it. So I wanted to get deeper into certification. We won't have much of a time to do that today, but there was this big thing called these guys, these incredible human beings, these court deputies were walking on a very eggshell environment for years. And what we found as a solution to the problem was really let's morph, for many reasons, but let's morph the court and the jail together. My goal is always to have one bureau. That's if I stay sheriff long enough, we're going to have one police department here, and everybody does different functions. But a huge step in that is we because of the certification problem, but also because of the problem we have in the jail, where jail deputies sit in there for 25 years with little opportunity to do anything else. Man, it's a long time working inside a jail. So we've gone through we're going through the process right now of if you will, morphing the court bureau and the jail bureau together through attrition, of course. But here's my long point I'm making is, God works in mysterious ways. So, we talked about your leadership, the fact you came back and all that. We really didn't have an idea this was going to happen, that these two things would morph. And the fact that, that was a dream, and now we're implementing a dream with a guy that worked in both bureaus, right? You led in the jail. So you got jail deputies coming over to be court deputies through this evolution. And knowing, what a perfect godsend you were to be in this position at this time as we morph these things together, and to get those poor jail guys another 3, 4, 5 years out of jail and do something different, and give them a little, fresh air, in their career path too. So this is working out very nice. But the fact that you ended up here in this seat is like a godsend to me. I just want to say that publicly, that we couldn't predict this.
It seems like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is, but we've worked awful hard to get it done, and your plan. We followed it, and deputies bought in, and I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? And I kind of, if you look at it in a certain way, it kind of changes that individual, because sometimes you'll find some guys might leave out of the jail from all those years of serving, and they become bitter, because things happen. It's the environment and everything. But when then you come over to the courts, it's like you said, it's a different type of animal, to where you kind of learn to kind of have to adjust that mentality. You know what I mean? Well, things are done.
A 25-year career, I think we added up the 8 years plus, or the 8-hour shifts plus overtime, a lot of it mandatory. You're doing 8 years incarceration yourself. You're spending 8 years behind those walls in a very, and again, I'm not trying to paint up, but it's a negative environment, right? You're working in a jail, right? You're not working in a schoolhouse with kindergartners, right? You're working in a jail that is a negative environment with negative things, and that vicarious trauma just from being in an environment, and the ability to manage through that and be successful, but again, have one more opportunity. So jail now will have transport as an opportunity. Jail will have visits as an opportunity. Jail will have court as an opportunity. And, give them career paths, give them something different to do, and shake it up a little bit. And I think how you help in negative environments, some variety is the spice of life, right? So give them some variety of things to do, and having you here to, develop that as, we're building an airplane in flight, because you can't turn everything off and do that.
Right,
exactly. So we're literally morphing positions into the court as we can.
And it's been very, very positive. So they've been accepted wholly by the court deputies with open arms. Yeah. And because obviously, we're short. But the jail deputies that are coming over have been there upwards of 25 years. Right. I know all of them. They bring a lot of veteranship, a lot of experience. They know all the inmates that come in, and you can see how much it is an adjustment from coming out of the jail where it's a controlled environment to now you're kind of out of your comfort zone because it's not controlled.
Nothing about it is controlled.
You're responsible now for controlling
it's a public environment.
Without bars, without walls.
Yep.
So
with cameras running on you.
Exactly.
News cameras.
Exactly. Eyes on you. So they've done a great job.
They really have.
And they've really stepped up and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, we're going to finish it up there. I think we have a funeral to go for Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that. What do we got next? I'm sorry. Tiz, I really was going to call you. I'm like, man, just from the first kickoff, I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, that
I
was
got to
bad.
deal with Tiz. I
was
got to deal with
bad.
Tiz.
Hey, the Bears weren't even there.
Oh, my God.
Got a ways to go.
Hey, what the heck I say?
Bears.
You know what? There's always next year. You know
Justin
what
Fields.
I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe. Might be the answer. I don't know.
The Bears are always in it. So one way or another. So thanks for joining us, Chief. I hope
sir.
people understand the Court Bureau a little bit better, understand you as a leader. We had a good talk on leadership here today, and understand that you got almost 100 Tizes over there just knocking it out of the ballpark with a lot of
Absolutely.
pressure on them every day, and that's really who gets the work done. I think that's everybody knows that, but that's always really to emphasize that's very important. We didn't even get to the budget, who pays for you guys. It's unique. It's not the county taxpayers paying a lot of this bill. Actually, New York State pays because they really appreciate the sheriff's office running court security. You don't see this everywhere when you go across New York State. You see state employees, which could be great employees, but there's local ownership to this program. And that's why this judicial district loves having court deputies, you guys there, because there's this family as opposed to, statewide employees that may or may not care as much. And that doesn't mean they're bad employees. It just means there's ownership here. And the judges really fight to keep this the way we do
Absolutely.
it here.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah.
I just kudos to the command staff, Lieutenant Howell, Lieutenant Ingham, and Lieutenant Friedel came over from the jail.
Right.
They've done a great job. Sergeants,
Yeah.
they've done a great job. So I just wanted to make sure that they got their due.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Couldn't do it without them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
good
know what?
guys.
And about it, the testimony is when you step away, and we've had some critical instances just this past week when you stepped away to take care of family and do vacation. We all have to do that, but when you can just pick up the phone and call, and there's no hiccup in the system. There's literally no doubt that missions are going to be accomplished and visions will be met during critical incidents, and that's what we had. Just so that's development of your bench, right? That's developing your leaders.
Exactly. Build a
And,
bench.
and they're smart enough to go to the Tizes of the world, and we're only using Tiz because you're here. So I hate to keep on embarrassing you, but
I know.
they're smart enough to go, hey, deputy, come here. What do we do with this, right? What's your suggestion? I got to make a decision. I'm the boss, but again, that mentorship is very important at developing the bench. So kudos to those guys because they fired on all cylinders last week when we needed them.
They are good.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks, guys. Until next week,
Thank you,
everybody
sir.
be safe.
Tiz, thank you.
You got it, brother.